guys and girls. Today we're going to do another episode of What's in the Box. Let's see exactly what's in the box. We've got several projects going, so we're going to get some new stuff coming in on a regular basis. And you're going to get to see all the new stuff we're putting on. This is actually, my son has been working at a little local pizza joint, and he is absolutely pouring money into this car. I'd rather him do that as a lot of other things he could be doing. Yeah, he loves his little drift car. So what we've got is brake lines, wheelwood calipers, some wheelwood brake pads, and a bolt kit. Alright, so what we got is, in drifting, you have a second. Alright, so you got your e-brake on just a regular car, right? Okay, so when you pull your e-brake, that actually goes to the back set of brakes. There will be either an internal brake caliper, so like inside a drum or something, or if it's a disc, it will actually have a brake caliper like this, that it actually sits on the brake rotor with your pads in it, and so when you pull the e-brake, this actually closes in on your rotor. And so with if you're normal braking, this actually opens and closes as you brake. Well, if it's an e-brake, there will be a mechanism that holds it locked while you're parked or whatever. Well, when you're drifting, you want the back wheels to lock for just momentarily to actually produces, when you lock the back tires, it produces a loss of traction. So when you lose your traction in the back tires, it wants to make your car slide or be out of control, and so then you can manipulate it to get it kick sideways, and then you can clutch kick to get the tires spinning, and then you're drifting. Well, what this is that very kit to make that happen. So excess, so I got there, excessive actually. Excessive makes a kit where they have the actual, yeah, I think it's marked. We'll have to look and see. But what this does is this adds on a separate location to allow you to mount a second brake caliper. Okay, so what you end up having to have is an extra e-brake handle that's convenient and accessible for you to be able to reach up and grab it, in a moment's notice, to break that traction in the rear end to begin the slide. Well, there's nowhere to mount those things. Well, with this kit for the Lexus IS300, this allows you to add in that second caliper. But from what I talked to them, the only caliper that this has to be a replacement for something. I don't know what it is just yet, but according to them, this is the only caliper that will fit it. I'll dig through some of our older calipers and see if that's a possibility, because I'm curious as to this. Obviously, this is not just made for just these things, or for these pieces. These have to be able to fit something else. I'm sure they're not making them just for these kits, so I'm going to try to figure out what these actual calipers are. I mean, because when you order a replacement, you got to find out what it is. Well, the problem I was having, if you don't want to buy the more expensive wheelwoods, there wasn't an option for a factory replacement. They couldn't tell me if it come off a different car, what make and model can I get a factory, from a local parts store or something, can I replace So that way I wouldn't have to buy the higher end. I can just buy, you know, a cheaper version, just better pads. Well, I don't have a problem with Willwood. It's actually really, really good stuff, but sometimes when the budget's not there, you have to save where you can. And so I'm just trying to save a few bucks, make it affordable for my son to buy this stuff. Couldn't find them, spoke to a couple of representatives, and they all pretty much had one thing to say. I had to buy the Willwood calipers. So if you buy the Willwood calipers, what brake pads do you order? Well, I didn't know, so I ordered the Willwood brake pads, and they're tiny, but they're what we need for this setup. So, and once you end up with a caliper on both sides of the rear wheels, one on each wheel, and then you have to have the lines. And so I bought the line kit. Supposedly the ends are made specifically for the Willwood brake calipers. And so I bought an all-inclusive kit that just pretty much, instead of having to hunt through all the parts and hardware and stuff, I just ordered the entire setup. So the only thing now is the e-brake handle that we have to get that. And so, you know, all of our Willwood stuff. So top of the line stuff, we decided to go ahead and get the all-inclusive, all the accessories, all the parts. I think this kit was $650, $680 some odd dollars. But either way, this stuff will be going on the IS300. You'll get to join me installing that kit. This will be new to me. I've never done this, so I understand the concept. I understand how it should go, and now it's kind of plumbing it down through the car and hiding it under the above the transmission, away from the drive shaft, and then where to set my distribution block. So here on this block, it comes in and feeds to both brakes. So you know where to mount that, and this will plumb back up to the actual e-brake handle. Then we'll have to figure out how to tie all that in and make it work. But I have a pretty good idea of understanding of how everything should go. So now we just got to get this kit in. We're waiting on some more pieces, the e-brake handle, and I think we'll be ready to go in with it. We've got the steering wheel and that stuff, and I'm thinking there may be a few more parts he's wanting to put on there. We got some neons and underglows, whatever you want to call them nowadays, and some other stuff. I've got to get it all in a pile, and that way when he's driving my car, I'm going to let him drive my car for a little bit, or my truck, one of the trucks, and I'm just going to keep his car, do the oil change, go through all the brakes, rotors, give it a once over, and then put all the accessory stuff he's bought, steering wheel, the e-brake handle, will mount all of that, and all the Willwood brake stuff, and so that way we'll have the e-brake and we'll be ready to go drifting. The next purchase on this thing will be the angle kit. So that's down the road. Angle kit, what the angle kit will actually do, so say you're drifting and you go to turn on a drift. Well, if you're completely sideways, your front tires will only turn so far, kind of limited of how what's the word I'm looking for, how sideways you can actually get. Well, because your front tires will only turn so far. Well, with an angle kit, it allows your tires to turn even more so you can be in even more of a steep slide, so you can get more sideways, versus, you know, with the wheels here, you're only going to be able to get so much. Well, when they come this way, you can get as sideways as the car will go, as long as you can control it. And then when you counter steer back into another curve, you do the exact opposite and let it kick around the other way. So this is one of the things that makes that more easily done. This is not a requirement that you have this e-brake kit or the angle kit, but it definitely, it's an awkward experience altogether. Just drifting is absolutely awkward as can be. But so if it's all going to be awkward from the beginning, we're going to make all the changes pretty quick, so that way as we're experiencing the awkwardness, we're learning it with all the things in place, versus learning it and then changing the brakes and changing the steering angle and changing this or that. So we're going to change everything that we can. We probably won't get to the angle. We'll get the brakes and all that stuff, and the angle kit we'll probably do down the road, but we'll at least get started with some of the features. And that way, as we learn this, we learn it with some of these features in place. And so the habit of grabbing the e-brake handle while you're simultaneously wanting to go sideways, it is as awkward as it sounds and feels. It's crazy, but all that becomes a rhythm, and you start getting it all together versus, you know, not having this to deal with while you're kicking it sideways. So we're going to try to put all that stuff in place and learn it as a whole, so we don't have to go back and change our habits and stuff with the e-brake handle, or at least be accustomed to be able to grab that. I think it would be easier to just reach up and grab it once you're used to it. But if it's not there, so you drive a car, if it doesn't have it, I think it would be easier to drive knowing how to use it and it not be there, versus drive and it be there and not know how to use it. So you see what I'm saying? So I think it would be a good thing to learn with it, because that's a whole different, I mean, yeah, you're used to shifting gears, but now you're hitting your e-brake and shifting gears. So it's gonna be an odd experience, to say the least. And it has been so far, even without the handbrake and all this stuff on this, because I've got to get it on my car, the 350Z, and change all that. This is for the IS300, and it seems to be a little more pricier than the 350Z. I guess the 350Zs are a little more drift friendly out of the box, and they seem to be a little more common on the track. The IS300s, we see them and have seen a few, but they're not as common as what the IS300s and the 350s are a little more common. So, all right, that concludes our episode of What's in the Box. I want to give a shout out to Excessive Manufacturing. The kit looks amazing. As far as visually quality, at this point, it looks great. Wheelwood, as always, makes great products. They've never had any problems out of any Wheelwood stuff. If I had to make any kind of complaint on this, I would like the option to be able to buy a cheaper caliper to make it more affordable and more user-friendly, as far as not having to pay higher end prices. Because if I can buy a 83 Toyota Celica caliper and they fit this kit for $40 for both of them and $12 for the brakes, I would like to have that option and know that that is an option, and I can save money. I would like to have a cheaper variable pricing structure if I had any complaints. As far as quality, it's absolutely the best quality. It always is with the Wheelwood stuff. Excessive, these things look perfect. They're billet, they're machine quality product. No burrs, no deformities. Looks good. Now, the next step, once we get the car here and get it situated, we'll put it all on, and you'll be able to see as far as fitment and you know, down the road, if you want to order something from these manufacturers, you can see how it worked for us once we start installing this stuff. So, all right, that's our episode for today. Like on Instagram at Chesser Enterprises. We also on Instagram, we're doing Chesser Drifting, or drifting something. There it is. All right, we're doing a drifting page specifically for this. We're doing on Facebook. We have Chesser Motorsports, Chesser Enterprises. Look for all that. Our email is chesserenterprises@yahoo.com. Check us out there. We're also on Twitter at Chesser Enterprises 2015, I think it is, which will be here. And so, yeah, hang in there, because you'll see this kit go on, and we have several installs with that IS300, and that'll actually be coming pretty soon. And I think it'll be worth the money if this is, you know, the drift thing's what we're doing. I think it'll be just fine. Appreciate you guys.